Hi, welcome to the Dev Team Show. My name is James.
And I'm Craig.
In this episode, we're going to be talking about hype-driven development, or as it sometimes is called, HDD. So, what is HDD?
Well, I think we're all pretty guilty of this. And there was recently this awesome article that just came out called HDD and like hype-driven development, and about it's kind of everybody just jumping on the fact of, oh my gosh, there's this new tool, let's go use it.
I just got back from a conference last week, so I can completely relate because I saw all these cool things that I want to just turn around and do. And it's probably a good thing that I'm not actually on a development team right now.
Yeah.
Because I would just be like a wave of disruption.
Right. And I don't know why it seems so much more now than usual. Have you noticed that? I do feel like there is, I too, this year went to a conference, and there it was like just so much of this new stuff that people hadn't yet done, but yet 15 talks on it. People like wanting to switch over to microservices away from the monolithic application. Now there's an enemy in the room, you know.
We're naturally driven to want to improve, I think, as developers, right? I mean, we entered into this field because it gave us the opportunity, I think, at least to some degree, and sometimes even like what brought us to it was change.
Right.
You know, that we're not going to be doing the same thing even a year from now, or not the least of which 5 or 10 years from now, right?
Yeah.
But there's a dark side to that, I guess, is kind of what we're getting at here with hype-driven development.
Yeah.
That change just for the sake of change, or maybe even change that could be beneficial, but done in a not like the transitioning to that or the process of adopting that new thing is mishandled or just not done in a proper way.
Right. Not thought through, right?
Right, not thought through. So what would be the absolute worst case scenario? I mean, if you had to think of like how it could go badly.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of problems when you just look at the pros, right? You say this is going to be fast, this is going to be scalable, but fast and scalable and all of those good words also have a dark side, right? So all of those have the way that works is you have to think about this new problem that you might not have had before. Actually, back to microservices really quick. There was a talk at Java One, and the guy says Netflix is famous for bringing in the microservices, and it's really cool, right? They showed this picture of the Netflix page, and on that page they said that there was something like 500 microservices running.
Oh wow!
Insane! Like all these different little bits for the things there, and managing that is a nightmare. So they built these tools around it. So now you have this new management tool, and there's all these new problems. So the lesson, the big takeaway for me, because I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed, right? And I was feeling the hype-driven development. Oh my gosh, we need to get back. We need to teach microservices tomorrow. Everybody needs to be doing this. And then he kind of summed it up pretty great. He said, "You aren't Netflix, but soon you'll have their problems." Right?
Interesting.
So bringing their problems on, you're not even solving a problem there. So I think that's the big problem there. Is like these tools are here. These new tools, they're great for solving a specific problem that you might not have. Right, so you gotta be careful about that. You have to be careful and cautious about weighing the pros and cons. But you do bring up a good point. You say that we want to evolve always as developers. So
because some change is necessary. Right. You know, you may have a problem with your specific application or product, and something you've been struggling with, and there could be a better way, of addressing that.
Yeah,
so it's not that you just want to stay frozen in time and don't want to evolve, but there has to be a process.
Right.
You want to introduce that thing. You want to understand the effects, that it has.
Yeah.
So you want to do some measuring before you make a change, some measuring after. You want to think about, other things like how long does it take someone to learn this new technology?
True.
What's the cost of that?
That's true. Some of this stuff takes it's a whole new mindset. Some of the newer stuff, right?
Right, and there's a lot of dependencies, even on the learning side, right? It's like, oh, I want to use X. Well, now I've got to know Y, and I've got to know Z before. What do they call that? Yak shaving?
Yeah, totally. And then also on top of that, sometimes you even have to change the way that your team is structured, right? Yeah. Like you're okay. In order to implement this, I keep going back and harping on microservices. I don't mean to.
Well, the shift to single page applications was similar too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where you had full stack developers, and then you say, oh, we're going to switch to doing spas. and not maybe fully understanding like what that was going to mean and how many lines of code of JavaScript were you going to have now.
Right.
And is your team fully prepared for that to
Right.
understand like what that means and managing that and writing good, proper JavaScript that's tested and,
Totally.
and all the tooling around that, right?
And understanding that you touch something here and it breaks it is a new concept to some people who are new to. Now it's the whole application. It's not like, oh, that widget doesn't work anymore. Now the whole application doesn't
Right.
work.
So there's a balance, right? You know, you don't want to just shut it down and say, hey, we these are our chosen technologies and we're not going to reevaluate.
Right.
You don't want to do that either, because if you go too far that direction, you may alienate some people, or you may demotivate them.
Right.
You know, they may be like, oh, now I've lost something, or I'm not as interested in doing this work because we're just going to be doing this for the next 2 years.
Right, and XYZ Corp is doing it, and they're up the street, and they're hiring. You know, you don't want that sort of problem. You also don't want at meetups, you know, like, you're like, oh, I don't know that yet. So
Right.
I wonder if there's ways. One of the good things I think that's been happening a lot lately is you don't need to go whole hog, right?
Yeah.
Like we talked a little bit about React in the past, but you can kind of just start with a little piece of it and say, hey, how did that work? How does that feel? Should we do this? You know,
Right.
that's a nice bit about these small little components that are starting to pop up.
And if you're lucky enough to have more than one product or more than one application that your team is working on, maybe you do that in some place that's less active initially.
Sure, the admin side of things, right?
Right. Where if something doesn't behave, or you introduce a bug, or it takes you a little while to implement or do something, you're not blocking a whole set of change requests while you have this part of the application tore apart.
Right.
Right.
And you get to kick the tires. You get to prove. You get to make everybody feel a little bit more comfortable, I think. That's a good approach. We used to call those spikes. You could spike on a new technology. You take a certain amount of time out of your sprint or whatever your development cycle is, and you spike on a new technology, and you come back with findings. And that's the goal of that is say, hey, this is pretty good, or hey, this is going to take a long time to implement. And I think that's really, really beneficial as far as staying up to date and like really thinking about, do I need to solve the problem that all this hype is driving?
Right. Or maybe even, if for instance, if you're heavily relying upon jQuery and you're like, oh, we need to move to something different, don't just make the jump from jQuery to React. Maybe also look at Angular 2 or Aurelia or Ember or something else, and have a competition, have a hackathon, where you build out some prototypes using a couple of different or 3 things.
That's a great idea.
And see how they compare. See where the difficult spots are, or where the challenging bits lie. Right. People don't talk about that stuff quite as much as we probably ought to. I know I've been guilty of that. You naturally want to talk about all the great things that a technology does, and not where it falls flat on its face.
Right. I really like that hackathon idea. I think that would work really well to like test out some features that we're not sure that people are going to like. Right. So here's a little beta test that we can run out to a little group over here, see how the thing stacks up. That's a great idea.
Yeah, and I know personally too, when I'm learning something new, you got to dig. You got to give yourself something just meaty enough to dig into to discover where those trouble areas are going to be.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's really easy to miss them.
Right. Yeah.
You kind of skim across the surface and everything seems cool.
Right.
And it's not going to be when you actually try to make something work.
Exactly. The to-do list is a lot easier to make.
Yes, indeed it is.
So recently, I fell a little bit into the hype bandwagon. I've been working on some IoT stuff, and I picked up, everybody's been talking about this reactive extensions. I love it, totally cool. They're in the middle of doing an upgrade right now, so the docs aren't all there. So I decided to use the newer one because the hype was like, this is the way to go, and I don't want the old thing, this old document
does,
thing.
right?
I'm gonna take the new thing. So I grabbed it, and I was working on it, and of course, the parts where I'm confused are the parts in the documentation that haven't been fully sussed out. And then you'd run into some bugs, right? I'd run into some bugs, and I'm thinking it's my code because I'm the noob here in this world trying to figure out how this is working. And it turns out that it was actually a bug up higher, and I was using it as it used to work, but there was a bug in this rewrite. So I think that there's a bit too, when hype comes, it comes hard and fast, and everybody wants to jump in onto the bandwagon. It's labeled beta. I know better. I know better than to use beta software and what I'm going to.
It's surprising. Like Angular 2 was in beta for a couple years,
Right.
and people were building production applications on non-released software.
Wow.
And then I think they understood in most of those cases, I would imagine, like what the responsibility of what they were taking on. But man, that's really amazing.
Yeah, yeah, and just the fact that they could totally 1 to 2 it, right? Like,
Right.
so that's something to think about with the hype. Is kind of take a look at the issues that are there. Take a look at make sure. And again, we are all this fear of missing out is such a thing that's prevalent right now, and
Right.
I feel like marketing has taken a shift where they're like, if you don't do this, you're never gonna have a chance to do it. If you don't look at this snapshot photo, you won't see it. If you don't look at this Instagram story,
Right.
like that sort of thing is present in tech almost. Like it's bleeding into it, and it's probably because we have so much stuff that we're paying attention to that they need to break through. So maybe PR in tech is just getting better. I don't know if that's what's causing it. We need to be cautious, I think. I feel, and that's not. I'm not one to usually lean on the conservative side of things. Look at the issues.
Yep.
Look at how many bugs people are having. And,
Look at the roadmap.
yep,
You
totally.
know, get a sense and understanding of how the project's being managed and what its trajectory is and velocity, those kinds of things. So, yeah, good advice.
Great.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time.